motivation and preparation led to a new sensation, new creation. That's what you're facing. Now watch my elevation.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is what would a second win over Anthony Joshua mean for Alexander Usyk's legacy? We all know he's an Olympic gold medalist, undisputed at cruiserweight, moved up to heavyweight, became unified champion in 3 fights. But if he beats Anthony Joshua again, what would that mean for his legacy? I'm going to turn it over to Trill Dollar Bill.
For his legacy, it will be huge. It's movie worthy. The reason why, with everything going on in this country, and to be able to overcome all of that, the distractions, to go in there and beat Anthony Joshua a second time will be movie worthy. You know, Usyk, warrior, talented fighter. I can go on and talk about Usyk, but y'all know everything. I already said everything I could possibly say about the guy. You know, he's just a warrior, man, and a wonderful guy, man, who loves his country and his family, man. And this will just be, like I said, there's one word. Well, 2 words. I'm gonna put it in one. You know what I'm saying? It's just movie worthy. That's what I think.
All right. G.
Actually, I agree 1000% with Trill. I was thinking the same thing. Usyk, the motion picture. Like, with this war, like the Ukraine war against Russia going on right now, this crisis going on right now, the world is watching this situation. Usyk, who's the heavyweight champion of the world, has to fight to defend his country, but at the same time has to defend his championship unification belts. And so if he pulls this off, man, it is like a motion picture. This is like one of them legendary Rocky movies right here, So I think that, but on that front, but within boxing, I don't. He already beat AJ, so it's like he just has to win again in the rematch. But again, I think like last week when we talked about legendary status, like with AJ for Usyk, I'm say the same thing. I'm consistent. After AJ, Usyk's gonna have to go up against Fury. You know what I'm saying? For him to be like that dude of our era. So, Usyk's almost there, but because Usyk's backstory is so great, it's already legendary because of the situation with his country. So you can make a movie about Usyk's life, and it's gonna be a hit, But for me, anyways, to the type of boxing fan that I am, I just need to see him be on top of the mountain. I need to see that undisputed, So finish that, and you the man of mans, and that'd be dope to be undisputed in 2 weight divisions, So yeah, so I'm just waiting to see that, like him beating AJ again. I'm like, it's cute, but going to the next step, the next level, and beating Fury, salute to him.
All right, TBE.
Nah, I think it would just increase his legendary status. I feel like Usyk he'll be a hero, a hometown hero. He'll be a worldwide hero. He'll be like he'll be just a living legend at that point. Just walking a living legend amongst men. Because if Usyk is able to beat AJ the second time, or if he wins the second time convincingly, knocks him out, outboxes him phenomenally, or does what Usyk does, there's no more debating it. Like I remember a few years ago when Usyk was coming into the heavyweight, and a lot of people was like, he ain't got no punching power. He can't hang with the big boy. He's a cruiserweight. And now he's here, and he's making his noise, yo. What's up, G?
All right. Because last week we kind of had a little conflict on what is classified as a legend, right? And we would define it a little differently. To me, I'm just saying I feel like a legend, meaning like you the best of the best in your era.
Yeah.
For him to be the best of the best, he has to run through Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's like him just beating AJ doesn't mean he's the legend. It just means he beat AJ.
Yeah, but I'm just saying he comes in with so much, like this would just bring his status to another like level. Like when he beat AJ the first time, the crisis wasn't going on, things like that. It was like, all right, this guy Usyk's for real. But now with everything going on, and then with him having to move out of his country, with so much going on, well, I don't know what's his stress factor going on, where his mind state's at right now. You know, we don't know how his family's back home. You don't know. I don't know what's going on with Usyk personally, but a lot with what we're seeing going on in the world, I feel like this is just gonna him overcoming all of these like I remember a couple, what was it? I said he was the underdog, but he's not the underdog because he already won. But this is just like you said, it'll be a rocky moment. It'd be like him like solidifying, closing the chapter. You know, it's closing the chapter on something, and the whole world will see that, and it's just like he'll just be. It's just like such an empowering story once if he wins the second fight. It's history.
If Usyk wins the second fight, he becomes one of the most inspirational figures the sport has ever seen. You can put him right up there with James Broderick. You can put him up there with Muhammad Ali. You can put him up there with, and when I say inspiration, I'm talking about guys who overcame things that inspire people to better themselves. You look at like James Broderick, who went from being like a contender to working construction, right? And getting like his license. He got his license taken away from him, got his license back so he can be food, and then he won. And then they threw him in there with Max Baer. So you look at that, and you're like,
the Great Depression.
they're in a Great Depression. Like I said, like with this dude couldn't put lights on. Like this is like real. Like they made a movie about the Cinderella Man, but you can look it up. This is like real deal. And it's like for him to do that inspires. You understand? For Muhammad Ali to do what he did, like to stand up and say, like, I'm not going to Vietnam to fight them. My fight isn't with them. So it's on a human level to say, like, I'm not going to go and fight another human being that I have no issues with, especially when I got my own struggles with where I'm at, you know. And he was hated for it at the time, called a draft dodger, suspended and banned from boxing during his best years of his life, like a heavyweight's prime years. But to be willing to give up the prime years of your career for something you believe in inspires. And now you got Usyk, who, when Russia invaded the Ukraine, was there being a soldier. This is the unified heavyweight champion of the world, saying, forget all that. I'm going to be there for my country. And Usyk said that it was soldiers and people there telling him, like, yo, we want to see you fight AJ again. Like, we want you to go fight AJ again. So when you think about that, it's like straight out of Hollywood picture. But for Usyk, it's even bigger than that, because you look at Usyk, it's like you got this guy who started off amateur as a middleweight, fought Sean Porter, lost to Sean Porter in the amateurs, right? Becomes a gold medalist, moves up to cruiserweight, becomes undisputed, moves up to heavyweight. Doesn't really wow people when his first fight at heavyweight with Charles Witherspoon. Then he has the fight with Derek Chisora. And there's some people who were out there yelling that they thought Chisora won that fight. I mean, I don't, but but then again, we realized that's what the Chisora people do. They yell he won every fight. You know what I'm saying? He beat Joseph Parker too. No, he didn't. You know what I mean? But like, then he goes and he beats Derek Chisora. And in his third fight, he shocks a lot of people by beating Anthony Joshua. Now, where we part ways, G, is you say Anthony Joshua is just Anthony Joshua, but I think Anthony Joshua is phenomenal. I think.
Let me correct it. I'm not throwing shade at Anthony Joshua. He is a major figure in the heavyweight division. I'm just saying there's another champion out there. So that's what I was saying. I was just like, because if the roles were reversed, if it was Usyk versus Tyson Fury right now, my argument then after that, I'll be like, Usyk, you still got to face Anthony Joshua. And then you get legacy status, legendary status for me in this era. That's what I was saying. So I don't want to discredit AJ.
Well, for me, beating AJ is good enough for Usyk to become legend in a rematch. And here's why. Anthony Joshua has beaten most of the top guys in the division. The only two guys he hasn't stepped in the ring with yet are Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, originally, I'm going to admit that I was wrong about something. Since people say I don't like to admit when I'm wrong about something, I probably gave Deontay Wilder more of the blame for this fight not happening than he originally deserved. Because when I look back at it, I do believe that that Wilder probably did want the AJ fight. But when you look at how Al Heyman refuses to work with Eddie Hearn, and you look at how all these other promotional companies feel about Eddie Hearn, you start to say, well, how can I blame Wilder? Then when you revisit those contracts were strictly for Deontay Wilder to sign and fight on the zone. So Deontay Wilder was going to have to sign with the zone for 3 fights, which means that he was going to be a DAZN fighter. It was only going to show on that app, and it wasn't going to show on Fox. Now, if you're really trying to make that fight,
let's come on, guys. We got to clap for Caden. This is beautiful right here. This is
now,
beautiful. Bring it in, guys. Thank you.
Now, if you really want to make that fight, if you really want to make that fight between Anthony Joshua, why do you want to exclude the promotional company and the affiliate, which would be Showtime or Fox? You see, originally I'm thinking, oh, Deontay Wilder's a ducker, he's a runner, he's a this, he's a that. But now when I look at it, I'm like, it's one thing to make a real offer, but it's another thing to make an offer you know is already going to be rejected. You already know that Fox and Showtime are not going to, and PBC are not going to agree to that deal because they're not a part of it. They're not a part of it.
But the Tyson Fury offer, you offer him 50%. It's crazy. You know what
yeah. And so again, I'm going to admit I was wrong about something, guys. But I'm not admitting I'm wrong just to admit that I'm wrong. I'm admitting I'm wrong because upon reflection with actual evidence, when I really look at something, I'm thinking like, damn, that is kind of fool's gold. If you really wanted to make that fight, when it makes sense that it's like, yo, Josh was with Sky Sports at this time, not with DAZN, Sky Sports. So Sky Sports is going to air this on pay-per-view in the UK. And Showtime, you air it on pay-per-view in the US. Let's make it happen. Everybody eats. Everybody eats. But that's not the offer they gave Deontay Wilder. They gave Deontay Wilder 3-fight deals and whatever. So the point I'm making is Joshua never fought Wilder, and originally I probably put too much on Wilder. When in actuality, it was probably DAZN. It was probably DAZN, right? And PBC and Fox, that is the reason that fight never happened. So you got two guys who didn't fight each other because it wasn't in the best interest of the promotional companies and their affiliates and had nothing to do with them. Then you got Tyson Fury, who Anthony Joshua, I believe, really did try to fight, and they did have that contract. But Tyson Fury lost arbitration to Deontay Wilder and had to have the other fight. So I'll give Joshua credit for trying to make that fight. It just never transpired because he lost to Usyk. But Joshua's beating everyone else. So Usyk beats AJ. And the reason why the rematch makes him a legend, because he already beat him, is what's happening in the Ukraine. If he wins the fight this time, with everything that's happening in Ukraine, you're talking about missiles, you're talking about people dying, you're talking about people fleeing the country, you're talking about all types of things taking place that he witnessed. So we know he probably wasn't in the best environments for having camp. It's not like he's just going to Crunch, Planet Fitness, and any other gym and working out. If he was working out, he's working out in a bunker.
Facts.
You dig what I'm saying? So if he does win this again, I do believe that it makes him a legend. He's going to be inspirational, like you're talking about. This is like movie stuff. If you took Usyk's story, right? Oh, he got stopped by Sean Porter at middleweight in the amateurs. Then he moves up, wins a gold medal in the Olympics. Then he's going to go be a cruiserweight and become the undisputed cruiserweight. Then he's going to move up and he's going to become the unified champion. And that's already a legend. He's not Tyson Fury and he's not Anthony Joshua for the fact that they have never cleared out a division. He has. He cleared out cruiserweight. He cleaned up a division. And if he doesn't clean up the heavyweight division, I'm going to give, if I give anyone the benefit of the doubt, I'm giving Usyk the benefit of the doubt. It's because Tyson Fury wants $500 million to fight him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So why should I penalize Usyk for a fight he can't make, although he wants it? I made that mistake with Deontay Wilder. I'm not making that mistake again because I'm going to be honest with you. Back in the days, I really saw it as like, yo, Wilder ducked. But now when I look at that contract again, I'm like, yo, it's easy to make a contract you know is going to get rejected right out of the gate. You know what I'm saying? And Lou DiBella's the one who brought Deontay Wilder to them. And you're like, oh, well, Wilder, why wouldn't you sign it? Because Wilder's thinking, yo, for years I fed my kids off of checks that I got from Al Heyman and Showtime and Fox. This is what we were talking about when we talk about the mentality of a U.S. heavyweight. There's a thing called loyalty. That's what matters. So Wilder's like, yo, I'm not just going to have them feed me, build me up, and then leave them with nothing. Like, so if I do this, I'm doing this with the people who supported me. But just getting back to this in Usyk, I feel like if Usyk can win this rematch with all that's going on, and that's what's factored in to what I'm saying, because it's like what inspires people when y'all say like movie, but that's gonna make him a legend. It's gonna make him a superstar. Like if he can win right now with everything that's going on in Ukraine, he's gonna be all over the stations, all over everywhere. So I do think he's gonna be a legend for those reasons. If he can win, I think Usyk's a legend.
I promise you, this was gonna be a movie. Usyk, the motion picture, starring Machine Gun Kelly.
Stop it, bro.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. Please check out our podcast.
You got to put on like 200 pounds.
Hey,
we are the boxer.
Hey, you know, you can Photoshop muscles now. You know what I'm saying?
Yo,